obviously Hamilton has been in the news pretty intently with how crazy it's been the last few months. Some insane movement and year over year kind of pricing increases that still startle me.
One of the numbers that like jumps out to me is the 57% increase over the last 6 months in regards to total number of units sold.
When we were at the height of the market, it was literally out of your hands in 6 days flat. Clean offer, huge deposit, and everybody's moving on with their life type thing. So.
What is up, YouTube? Matt McKeever here, and we've got a treat for you guys. We finally found a Hamilton expert. We've got Abdellah from the Majd real estate team out of Hamilton. You guys have been hitting me up for a while, wanting us to talk deeper and dive more into Hamilton. Finally found the right expert. So how's everything going?
Good, Matt. Good, Matt. Thanks for having me on, man. This is a new venture for me, but super excited and hoping we can bring a lot of added value to the listeners here. So really excited. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
And I know you put together a great presentation for us, but I thought before we even jump into that, let's just maybe high level talk about your experience with Hamilton. And I'll maybe even just frame some of my perspectives about the Hamilton real estate market, and you can fill us in on it while we go through today's presentation. But I guess the first thing is, when I think of Hamilton real estate, I was always, and I'm by no means an expert, but people always broke it down to there's on the hill and then there's kind of downtown or whatever. When I think of Hamilton real estate, I think of like granny suites or basement apartments. I feel like that was one of the markets that originally really started doing that before it became popular elsewhere. And then these days, it feels like people are constantly talking about like GO trains and transportation projects and things like that when thinking of Hamilton. But I'd love to hear, what's your background with Hamilton? And, throughout the presentation, feel free to correct any of my misconceptions.
So, I've been in the investment world since 2013 with, we started as a family venture, still is, a couple partners along the way. Started with these bungalow duplex conversions, which I'll touch on a little later in the in more depth in the episode today. We're about 20 doors ourselves here. Took a couple years off, but we're back to scaling pretty aggressively. Going back to it, you got the mountain and you got down the mountain. That's how people split up Hamilton. You'll find the majority of the opportunities down the mountain because of the higher density for sure in terms of multi-units. Up the mountain, still some great opportunities, higher price points just because of the nature of the neighborhoods and how they've grown over the years. And especially the duplex conversions. So, they're super straightforward. The city will never give you an issue with converting them, and you're basically yielding the highest rents across the city. So to talk about the team quickly, so we're the Majd Realty Group. Me personally, this is my 6th year in the business, almost 8 years now as an investor. These are my guys here. We have added on two more young agents since this picture. So we've been together 4 short months. It's been a crazy ride. But can be happier to have this group with me here.
That's awesome. And just for the audience perspective, do you guys focus just with investors? Do you cover the whole spectrum of properties in Hamilton?
Yeah, well, I would say we cover the full spectrum. We do have 2 to 3 agents that primarily just are focused on investing because of my background and their backgrounds essentially, but kind of that's how we came to gather. My whole thing with my team and with how I look at it, I mean, if you can deal with investors, you can deal with everybody, especially, right? So that's kind of my mindset, and that's, the kind of message that I portray. But yeah, we cover everything from single family homes to new developments essentially. So we got you covered across the board in that sense. So guys, I will dive into some quick stats here in the Hamilton market. Actually, there's a picture of the full squad there with Mallory and McKenna there, so not a bad looking group. And then just like, we wanted to kind of start here. Obviously, Hamilton has been in the news pretty intently with how crazy it's been the last few months. Some insane movement and year over year kind of pricing increases that still startle me. Praying for a balanced market for everybody's sake, but just a little guessing game here, right? Looking at the stats dating back to 2017, and the viewers what they suspect the 2021 average price point is going to be here. So.
Gotcha. And so it looks like for the month of June, we were looking at 755,000 for 2021. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we'd love to hear, what are your thoughts? What's your opinions? Do you see the market going up, down, or sideways? Let us know. Guess what you think July's average sale price will be, and we'll let you guys know next month who wins.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that. So residential market activity here through the Real Estate Association of Hamilton Burlington. Kind of a quick look, guys. Obviously, like I said, going back to it, year over year pricing, absolutely absurd in some neighborhoods. This is a kind of a breakdown where you see kind of Hamilton Center. Still, it's perpetually the most affordable areas, or the most affordable area in Hamilton, whether single family or investment. So you do see a lot of investors turning these absolute decrepit 2.5 story homes. But there's just now you've had the comps now for a little while in terms of what you're going to refinance it for. So a lot more people I see are starting to pull the trigger without hesitation in these kind of up and coming untouched areas, right? To me, I always tell my investors, you want to be the first to the party in that sense. So that kind of obviously a huge increase in there in terms of average sale price, but oddly enough, still a lot of meat on the bones there in those areas. Hamilton Mountain, as we touched on before there, Matt, see the number of sales, obviously huge spike there. Hamilton, super sought after. It's where I've lived my entire life since I came to Hamilton. So, and then you're basically looking at anywhere from like low 20 to low 30% in terms of year over year increase across the board. And then you're looking at places like Glanbrook, which, the Binbrook areas as well. Huge influx there. It's a tighter community. So basically, just to kind of relay that back to the number of sales, 2020 was 63, kind of down a little bit in Glanbrook, just because there's just so many more options. It's a beautiful little kind of quaint area, but just the amount of houses it's a select few. There's still builders kind of gentrifying the area as well with some open land there.
Gotcha. And just wondered, I guess, talking about this on the big scale, one of the numbers that jumps out to me is the 57% increase over the last 6 months in regards to total number of units sold. And I know that every market definitely has seen an increase, but is there anything that you attribute that to? Is that just pent up demand? Is it that last year the market was really soft because it was our first lockdown experience?
Yeah. So it's obviously if God came down and asked me what COVID was going to do to the real estate market, I never would have been able to say that it was going to be a sharp incline. But yeah, of course, it's a mix between, we're all dealing with this for the first time. We had no idea. Banks are scrambling, the government's scrambling. But then, the way it kind of played out. But for sure, pent up demand as you went into wave 1, came back at wave 2, and it was just, it was crazy in that sense for sure. But yeah, coming out of a balanced market into the hottest market in history, the numbers are going to be absolutely eye-popping. So we'll see what 2022 has in store. But I mean, in terms of where the market's going, if I could touch on that for a sec, we're definitely seeing a cooling effect. It's super evident. There's still there's still a ton of listings that go up that are still going back to that pricing strategy from 3-4 months ago, where it's hey, pick a number, and basically let her rip. And I guarantee you this thing's going 200, 300, 400 over ask. Now there's a little bit more, there's a little bit more intent. So it's a longer conversation with the clients, whether investor or single family homeowner. Like it's like that across the board. But yeah, of course, like to look at something like that, the amount of units that have moved, between January and June of last year and this year, it's absolutely eye-popping. Pent-up demand, just uncertainty out there. Obviously, interest rates are basically giving money away. Everybody wants to jump on that, right? Refinance and buy additional properties and whatnot. So yeah, a few different factors there for sure.
Yeah, appreciate you breaking that down for us.
Absolutely. Yeah, and then just a quick glimpse here, Matt, into average days on market. Kind of going back, and I'm sure you've heard how the days on market work, right? It's however long one stays on, all the numbers are kind of thrown into the pool and then divided that way. So see there, and that's what you want to see. 2020 bounce market. At the end of the day, I always say if you price it right, they will come. That's never going to change. It's just what kind of conversations you're having. But just to kind of read this over and what Rab's telling us year over year, gains are expected to become more modest, which I definitely agree with, and maybe even negative in the months ahead as we reach a crossover period. So maybe a little hint as to the July average sales price there for the listeners. But at the end of the day, when you're that blistering of a pace, any sort of cool down is going to be super noticeable. But just to give everybody kind of a little glimpse as to days on market, and where you're seeing it's slowly creeping back up for sure, which I'm going to fully admit I'm a proponent of. So I want to see a more balanced market and kind of give everybody a shot here and have level heads out there.
Yeah, appreciate you sharing that perspective. And I guess just talking out loud about this, as you're seeing the market start to catch its breath, cool off, whatever you kind of want to frame it as, how is that impacting how your clients or how you guys are approaching negotiations? Are you seeing a lot less, listings with offer dates? It sounds like maybe people aren't purposely listing this low anymore, or at least sometimes I know when the market starts to get a bit more balanced, people start listing at the price they want rather than hoping that people will just come in and overbid.
Yeah, so a couple different points there. Definitely seeing different strategies there for sure. Like it really depends on the product. Like I'll go back to those bungalows on the mountain, which I specialize in. Those things are just been in high demand forever. Like we started buying those in 2013 when they were a quarter. They've tripled in price. Because they are the easiest to convert by way of Section 19. We can maybe talk about another episode with the city and the conversion regulations. They're with their eyes closed, ceiling height, side entrance. It's too easy. The rents are through the roof. So those specifically will all I had a client look at one the other day. We were going to bid on it. It went like 17, 18 offers. Not enough meat on the bones. We walk away type thing. So sorry. You want to backtrack that question again, Matt?
Just asking, how you guys are approaching negotiations differently.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm guessing 3-4 months ago, every offer had to be clean, right? You weren't allowed conditions pretty well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I see it all over Facebook and our Keller Williams Facebook group. Like, their conditions are back. Let's just put it out there, 100%. An agent on our team just did a deal last night, conditional, no problem, under ask. I mean, there's still obviously some sellers out there that are just like, hey, look, they don't want, for whatever reason, they don't want to have that conversation. So there's just kind of an impasse. Like they're sitting there stuck in the mud. They won't reduce the price, and then you're basically now turning into a stale listing. But yeah, we're trying to, our team specifically, and I know a lot of other teams are doing that because now they're having the shifting conversations that, hey, look, it's not the end of the world to maybe be on market for 2-3 weeks. I know it's annoying in and out of the house. COVID, obviously we take great care in that protocol. But yeah, we've definitely shifted our focus more towards just listing at market value, with the type of market that we do, and giving it a little bit more days on market to bring in the right buyer. And then the odd time, like if a seller insists, if you need a quick sale, it's still a tactic you can use, right? I'm not going to be overly aggressive with it. Like I'll probably list it within 10% of what we want to achieve. But we're starting to do that more so because if the seller, needs out in a quick amount of time or have little kids and can't show the house for 2-3 weeks, right? So it really depends. It's case by case, but we're definitely having those conversations on an appointment basis for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that perspective. And I know I kind of got us off topic from the stats, so we can jump back to it, but really appreciate you breaking that down.
Yeah, absolutely, man, anytime. So, but yeah, it's just simply put, 2021 days on market, like we're looking at so far, right? You're at 13 days. That's probably got a lot to do too with the last basically June is dropped like it. And everybody and their uncle knows when we were at the height of the market, it was literally out of your hands in 6 days flat. Clean offer, huge deposit, and everybody's moving on with their life type thing. So, but you're definitely going to creep back up. Condos that's basically what you're going to see in Hamilton. I actually want to touch on that too. Just, our condo scene's really starting to explode with, this is super specific to Hamilton, but the Vista condos, the Royal Connaught, we have, tons of upcoming ones. So, I mean, now with the huge influx, those numbers are definitely going to change. But we have some great investment opportunities here, even with the Platinum condos, Television City, the Kiwi condos, One Jarvis. So a ton of opportunities coming up, just kind of a side note on the condo front, but that's what you usually see across the board, because we have a lot of older buildings here too, on the condo side, and you're looking at 3.5 weeks regularly, no matter how hot the market is. So coming out of there, it's definitely eye popping.
Gotcha.
So I want to go over some kind of some recent deals that we've done with our trusted clients here. So just to give you, we can do the higher density stuff too. Like I said. There's a ton of opportunities out there. Like a lot of these you have to kind of dig off market, and it just comes down to, over the years, and even between our mortgage brokers and lawyers and whatnot, our kind of trusted partners, right? We built a nice nucleus of just a nice network. We'll say that we're always bouncing stuff off each other. Something's coming up. You've heard of this type thing. Like this one, funny enough, was on the market, so we ended up wrapping this one up at a little bit higher than that sold price, and then we ended up renegotiating down to that price that you see there. But it's in St. Clair, so St. Clair is really, it's got some really nice pockets, and it's gentrifying and still kind of growing, and it's very pockety Hamilton. I'm sure a lot of people know. We were able to secure this for $170 a door, which, funny enough, is a pretty good deal right now.
I was going to say that actually surprises me. I obviously don't have my fingers on the pulse of the Hamilton market like I do other parts of southwestern Ontario, but I mean, for where the rents were and what I see going on here in London, Ontario, I would say in London, Ontario, you'd probably get close to that per door as well. So it's interesting to see Hamilton, because I've heard, different people in my network talking about a couple different operators that are aggressively acquiring anything in that 170 to 200 a unit range. So I guess, would you mind, because people love examples like this, was this, and I just don't see how long, it was about 20 days on market?
Almost 30, but that includes the conditional period. We had a 2-week condition in there. There was a client that we were working with for a while, and funny enough, just down the street, right on Main Street as well, as just a block over, a block west, like we had one conditionally sold or conditionally purchased, sold on the buying end, right, for like $185 a door. Mind you, it did have parking. This one is 12, the other one was 8, but I mean, we're like running numbers. Not everybody does it different. This one does need a heck of a lot of work. Don't get me wrong. No parking, but I mean, it's in an area. It's right off the LRT route, if that ever comes back and actually comes to fruition there. But yeah, nice big units. There was 6 2-beds, 6 1-beds here. But roof's in good shape, boilers in good shape type thing. So, and it was on the market. Like I bullied it essentially. So for those who don't know, just kind of put an offer before the date. And then did our due diligence and everything worked out. Like our investor's super happy. And then when we kind of got down to that number, but tons of room for improvement there for sure. We get one vacant unit. And the nice thing is, like, as kind of distressed some of these units are, the rents aren't that bad.
Yeah, I was actually surprised. I thought that you'd probably be a little bit lower on the average rents. And I know there's a lot of my audience that they're in this stage of they've got a handful of rentals. They're now starting to look at properties like this. Exactly. And, they're getting tempted to move into this space. I'd love for you just to share with us your experience, Abdellah, in regards to if someone wants to work with you and your team on a project like this, how can they set themselves up for success? What should be in place already? Because again, 20 days isn't a long lead time realistically in these larger buildings and projects. Exactly.
So it's, I'm aggressive when I see a deal for sure, but I'm not, if you ask most of my clients, I'm not a overly pushy guy, but I'm all over it when I have to be for sure, really depending, but it's getting yourself set up, right? So in the commercial lending world, it's all asset based, right? So it's not like, hey, let's go get a pre-approval for 800 grand and we'll start shopping type thing. So it's about keeping your finger on the pulse, right? Obviously we have to have some sort of framework, like, okay, regardless if you're getting a pre-approval or not yet, have a general idea of, okay, I'm looking up to this many units and this how much I have set aside. So it's basically like any other BRRRR, but just on a grander scale, and knowing fully well that the down payment might be up to 40% depending on the asset, and deferred costs and all that out of the gate. So it's just preparation. Obviously, having somebody that's got their finger on the pulse, right? And I study the price per door and kind of where cap rates are, and I have a very strong contact in the commercial world in Hamilton, who's one of my closest buddies that I use as a partner who's super helpful in all this, right? But to me, it's just like, I like to simplify things, just like that slogan says, right? And it's just being prepared, and honestly, just kind of knowing that, okay, let's not be, we don't have to be scared about putting in an offer, because unless your pockets are super deep, you're going to do due diligence. So you're going to buy it up for 2, 3, 4 weeks, right? You got to be prudent about this stuff in terms of, what it's going to cost, on the down payment, on the renovations, talking about, environmental and stuff like that. So it's a little bit more in depth that way, but to simplify it, it's just having a plan in place with the capital available that we can jump on something. But these are fully available for sure. Like I said, this one was on the market. I'm still, I'm super happy the way it turned out. We ended up buying it, I'd have to check my my investors breakdown, but we bought it like a 3.4, 3.5 cap, and you guys can see there, anything from 4.5 to 5 for a 5 cap with an 8plex plus, you're doing a good job in Hamilton. So it looks like, hopefully we'll be able to outperform that, obviously, if no surprises come up.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing the numbers, and I know the audience will love this.
Awesome. So next one here, just another one this one actually closed at the end of the month for some repeat clients of mine that I've been working with for a couple of years. So this one, we actually fought off 13 offers about a couple of months ago. Again, just because there's a cooling effect. If, in the investment world still, if you price it aggressively, this is the best way to put it. If it's distressed, get ready for a war. That's
gotcha. It attracts a lot of potential buyers.
Exactly. Everybody wants to create sweat equity. Everybody wants to BRRRR here. That's like the number one investment strategy. If this was turnkey, it would probably take 3 weeks to sell. Right. So, but this one, great size, almost 2,200 square feet there. My guys are going to turn it to a legal duplex, do a third unit as well. These are kind of like the purchase price is, spot on. Projected rental 2.25 might fluctuate a little bit. We don't have a true scope on that just yet. And then our projected after repair value there for those 3 units and the rents that we're going to yield, we're looking at about 1.1. And that's in kind of true fashion that I can go on the MLS and pull you comps and not just, kind of guess in a sense, right? So, and then this one didn't go into too much depth in terms of capital extraction, but you'll be looking, I ran some numbers a few days ago with them, and we're looking at probably only leave like, depending on the rental cost, but we're probably going to leave about 35, 40 into the deal. But again, it's great. It'll be a great cash flowing vehicle for sure. And it's in the Stinson neighborhood. So basically border St. Clair, where you saw that last 12-plex, where it's the most sought after, the 2 most sought after areas, I would say, in terms of converting multifamilies.
Gotcha. And just for perspective, if anyone's looking at breaking into the Hamilton market and they don't have a deep network, do you have renovators, contractors that you work with that you can recommend to clients? Yeah, absolutely, Matt. Yeah, I'm like I said, just very fortunate that the network that I'm involved in with friends and colleagues and partners, and just creating that network over the years as well as we renovate all our properties. But yeah, got you covered, from renovations, appraisers, lawyers, mortgage brokers. Work with a great team out in Hamilton that specializes in these type of purchases. But yeah, you're fully covered here. It'll be streamlined experience type thing. Like, it'll be just about crunching the numbers, finding the property, and everything else, will be recommended over to make it as peaceful as possible there. Awesome. And this one we just finished renting. So our clients bought this back in September. Just give a little bit more perspective, so we're not kind of duping anybody out there, that the ARV here was, we were obviously the property turned out amazing, both units. In terms of the purchase prices back in September, and then obviously the filing shift that Hamilton experienced, we were able to attain, such a nice number on the ARV. So when we bought it, we had it, I had it pegged in like the mid to high 7s, but just kind of fortunate that it works out that way sometimes, right? Market's always shifting, especially in Hamilton. But quick breakdown. So this is a property on the mountain. So those 2 we just saw down the mountain, but pretty close to the escarpment where it builds back up. So a central mountain neighborhood. There's really no bad neighborhood on the mountain. They're your standard 40 by 100. These bungalows always sit on 40 by 100, 50 by 100 lot. But these numbers are pretty accurate. So yeah, purchase 550, go to 140 into it, including conversion and permit costs. And just for perspective, for someone that maybe doesn't do a lot of renovations, roughly what does 140 buy or do?
So we're looking at approximately almost 2,100 square feet here, Matt, in terms of usable space. So this is, it wasn't that deep of a reno upstairs, new bathroom, new kitchens, floors, doors, and, trim, paint, and installing stackable laundry. And then this is, with these, if you can find something, like, this is the beauty of these, like, they're always in good shape in terms of the bones, right? Your foundation, your roof, your windows, your HVAC. That's why they're so sought after. But you're pumping most of your money into the basement, right? You're basically building out from scratch. You got to redo the electrical to add the second meter. That's not, you don't have to do that, but obviously you want to put that hydro cost on a tenant and get that off the books. But yeah, 140 is going to get you, a nice enough renovation upstairs. But again, doing about 1,100 square feet, fully done in the basement, from the electrical and plumbing right out to the finishes.
Right. And are you guys normally looking for properties that already have a second entrance and exit? Are you guys often having to do that after the fact and build that into your budget? Yeah, with these specific ones, Matt, like these are all built in like the early 50s to the late, so they're all post-war. So we call it wartime bungalows here in Hamilton. 99% of them have a side entrance that drops right down into the basement with 8-foot ceilings, 7.5, sometimes 8-foot ceilings. But it's kind of, you go into it blindly because
it's going to be there. Like the odd one, if it's smaller, that you might have to drop in from the back. Like I haven't dealt with many dig outs. They'll cost anywhere from like 10 to 20 grand, really depending on the contractor. But that's the beauty of these, and in terms of how they're already set up to convert, because they were purpose built for that in-law suite at that point in time.
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that.
So just to go back, so the appraisal just came in actually last week, the week before, 900,000. 80% of that new first mortgage was at 720. I've done these a million times over the years. This is the highest rent that I've ever helped attain for a client. So it's basically a 3-bed, 1-bath upstairs with in-suite laundry, $2,350 plus hydro. We had listed at like 23. We listed the unit 2 at 18. We ended up getting tons of action there, and so clients were able to extract every dollar out of it plus cash flow, roughly about $900 a month, really depending on how you designate your vacancies and bad debts. But vacancies there are virtually nothing on the mound there. I mean, you're rolling right into the next tenant automatically, more or less.
Yeah, it sounds like there must be lots of demand if you're often listing at one price and end up landing at a higher one. So I appreciate you sharing that perspective.
Of course. That's clients super happy there. And then you're going to jump into some off-market opportunities. This is generally off-market, as in there are no plans to take it to market.
Right.
This is in Secord Woods in St. Catharines. Sorry, Kayla. 4-level back split. So my client, I've helped him convert 2 bungalows here in Hamilton. He bought this way before we met 5-6 years ago. Converted it to 4-level back split. So great size. Main floor, 3-bed, 1-bath. Basement's a 1-bed plus den and a 1-bath. Nice big lot. Obviously, see the garage there as well. So this one's it's legal. Awesome neighborhood, big lot. Fully available for an investor that's kind of looking to get into that St. Catharines market, which a lot of people starting to look up that way for sure.
Mm-hmm. And I guess a nice bonus there that you can get vacant occupancy for a lot of landlords, especially in this hot market where people are often getting, top rents compared to what you could rent for a year ago. Being able to have that vacant possession can be a real value add. Absolutely,
yeah. So, I mean, there's creative ways around that, and we always try to be as honest with tenants as possible. Some of them you're just not going to get lucky with, and you have to you deal with it, and you want to cash for keys or whatever the strategy is there. I'm pretty sure last time I talked to my investor here, the upstairs is moving out, and then he just has a good relationship with them. So I mean, they're not the type of people that would hold up the sale. I would love to chat with anybody about this if there's any interest out there for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate you showing us a live deal.
Absolutely. So this one, not truly, is it off market at the moment? I'll be taking this one to market in the near future. But this is so we're back down now in the lower west end of Hamilton, which is super sought after. I'm sure people have heard of the Lock Street area out there in Aberdeen. Just, you're basically on the 403 in 3 seconds flat. So very, very popular and popular neighborhood and super high demand. So 1,600 square feet here, guys. Got a huge detached garage in the back. That from what I've researched with the city has, there's these 2 zoning codes now that are being implemented where you at least have the ability to do a laneway house. There's a laneway in the back here. Front parking there, back a second parking spot in the back. 2 large units there. Bones are in great shape. Like I said, it would be a great house hack for somebody, even say for a commuter like coming off the highway there. The main floor plus basement, nice big unit, and then you basically, what I would do is just keep the upstairs tenant or swap them out for higher rent. They're paying about $1,500 all in up there. Some longer term tenants, but could work either way. For an investor, just the ability to maybe do that 3rd unit in the back, and for a live and rent house hacker, it'd be absolutely perfect, especially with the income upstairs and potential for storage income in the rear garage there.
Awesome.
Yeah, and it's service as well, though, hydro and heat back there as well. So $850,000 price point for that one. This is another one that's going to be ready in a few weeks, guys. We're back up on the mountain now. A client that I've done a few of these with, and he's got it down to a science. Still kind of working out the price point. You can always chat offline with anybody that's interested. Higher end finishes here, so you probably can't tell, but absolutely can't tell. But so this one wasn't a standard kind of race ranch one floor. It actually had a bit of a loft space that we blew out. We've completely vaulted the ceilings. It's really a wow factor. Higher end finishes than we normally do. 2-car parking, detached garage, and then you'd basically be getting. I pegged it around the 4,000 mark, but you'd get similar rents to that one on 209.
Right.
So, and this one was, no issues. Like I said, don't mean to keep reiterating, but just super easy to convert. And we'll be taking that one to market by the end of July, but still definitely an opportunity to get in before more eyes get on it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was the last of the off markets. This one, a little bit of a more unique story behind it. New investor in my network that we just started doing some business together as of the end of last year. This one's actually a power of sale. And if everybody's ever been through that, obviously the bank holds all the cards there.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's, I'm sure you know, Matt, it's kind of maybe a 3, 4, 5 day process, and you have to resubmit and improve your offers. But we ended up getting it. We bought this one for $568. So it's about 2,300 square feet. Nice thing is it was already broken up into 3 units, and it's legal all the way through. St. Clair neighborhood, going back to that 12 one. So just to give you more perspective, as I'm sure you can see, like how big the other buildings are around it, like super good neighborhood for these conversions. So we're about 4 weeks away from completion here. Again, he's doing some, higher end finishes to attract those higher rents here. And we're going to be looking at about 1.1 there, with, north of $5,000 easy on gross rents. It's going to be a lot of money spent on this one. Complete gut, obviously top to bottom. And our great paralegal helped us with evicting the tenants here. There was a basement and main floor tenant. A little bit of luck, a little bit of regression, but we ended up getting them out and started the project. So, he's creating more meters here as well. There's triple car parking in the back. So, again, I've seen a few Torontonians in the last couple of years kind of settle in the St. Clair neighborhood, kind of old house hack on a triplex, which might not, appeal to a lot of people, but it is getting a little bit more common. But again, still, anything could really essentially be a house hacking kind of approach. But fully available. Looking to take this one to market mid to late August.
Awesome. Yeah, really appreciate you showing us these off-market deals. And just for anyone at home that maybe this is your first time being kind of presented with the idea of off-market deals or pocket listings, the real value here is you kind of get first dibs, right? You're not necessarily going to have to be competing with a bunch of other individuals. You also sometimes can line up maybe some more unique, terms, or at least that's often been my case. I found when dealing, because often there's less of a barrier to discussion or exploring something. Hey, I can do this, but I might need this little asterisk here. And when you're in the heat of multiple offers, that asterisk almost always kills your deal. Whereas if you can be having the conversation before it goes to market, that's really what the difference maker is. So again, really appreciate you just bringing those deals to us. And I think it highlights your breadth of knowledge in your network, Abdellah, because there's a lot of realtors in this world, and there's a lot of realtors that say they work with investors, but the proof is really in the pudding when it comes to pocket listings, knowing the numbers, and having clients that are actually executing on these strategies. And the fact that you've been able to build up your own portfolio, that's something that always gave me comfort. My my first good relationship with a realtor was my buddy Jeff Weibo, and the way that started was us actually just hanging out and chatting about being investors. And then I was like, hey, this guy might actually know what he's talking about. I might actually want to use him as a realtor. So again, really appreciate you just bringing your breadth of knowledge to us today, Abdellah, and really looking forward to exploring the Hamilton market in future videos. So if you guys at home have any questions, jump in the comment section. We'll make sure we try and cover them in a future video. But if you guys want to reach out to Abdellah right now or anyone on his team, we're going to have links in the video description down below. So I encourage you guys to reach out. And do you have a preference? Should people just call you? Do you want them to send an email, or what's the best way?
I'm easy, Matt, across the board. My this thing is absolutely, if you ask anybody, it's absolutely glued to my hip until I fall asleep after a liter and a half of red wine. But yeah, any way you want, social media, reach out to anybody on our team. Yeah, I'm easy, guys. So I'm an open book. Happy to chat with anybody here.
If you guys have questions, jump in the comment section. Links to all of his contact information in the video description as well. And let us know what you'd like us to cover in a future video. And I'm just going to predict here right now, Abdellah, that they're going to want to see more pocket listings and they're going to want to see more past deals, because people love being able to see that. And I think oftentimes it's just the fear of the unknown, right? As a new investor, that fear of like, do they really buy properties? Do they really make money? Do they actually really follow through on these things? Or is that all just an HGTV show sort of dream? Exactly. So awesome. Well, appreciate it and looking forward to having you on next month and discussing the stats for the month of July then.
Yeah, awesome, Matt. Thanks for having me, man. Had a blast, and I look forward to our future videos here. So thank you.